Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend out there. Thanks for rejoining us on this Monday afternoon here for the next 3 hours on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're tuning in to today's program, thank you so much for being a part of 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. So glad to be with you on this Monday. Again, hope you had a wonderful weekend. A happy Mother's Day belated to those of you who are mothers in the audience. And if you had the occasion to spend the day with your mother or the mother of your children or call your mother, I hope you took advantage. Hope you had a great weekend and excited to have you all back for some 580 Sports Talk today. We've got 3 hours, no Royals baseball tonight. Royals are off. It's a travel day. They head to the South Side to open a 3-game series against the Chicago White Sox tomorrow night. And folks, we're there. Dayton Moore's magic 40 game mark. We're actually a game past that. Game number 40 was Saturday. Game number 41 was Sunday. And this is the time, and we've made reference to it so many times over the years here on 580 Sports Talk, because it was a yearly talking point from Dayton Moore when he was in charge of the Royals baseball operations, that it takes you 40 games to figure out what kind of baseball team you've got. Do we know what kind of baseball team the Kansas City Royals have got? Because I don't know that we're any closer to a real answer to that question. I've got some thoughts, obviously. If I didn't have thoughts, this would be a very short show. But I don't know that there's a whole lot definitive that can be said. I will point this out quickly, because the Royals have hit the break or hit this point in the season with 19 wins. 19 wins through 41 games. And the past 2 years, the Royals had 24 wins in their first 41 games. And I think it will be tempting to look at that and to say, oh, wow, yeah, the Royals they're definitely trending worse than they were the last 2 seasons. I got a stat about strength of schedule that'll kind of blow your mind a little bit, I think, because it certainly blew mine going back and looking in retrospect and recalling this. So with context, I don't think this 19-22 start for the Royals has been good. I mean, they started 8-17. They're just now starting to dig their way out of that hole. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think for sure this Royals team is doomed, that I think there are trends that are going in the wrong direction. Certainly some things that have to improve if they're going to improve broadly. But we'll take a little bit of a look at the team. We'll do some individual-based stuff on tomorrow's show. Get ready for that series in Chicago. But team-wide, some trends to watch, and it's the big question. What is this team? Maybe being close to 500 makes it harder to see it really clearly. The Royals are closer to 500 than they were last Monday. That's because they had a winning week. They had a winning homestand. 4-3 against the top 2 teams in the division going into the week, and a series win over the Tigers for the first time since 2024. That's a good homestand. That's a good series. Why did it feel so unsatisfying? We'll get into that. Maybe you are satisfied. Maybe I'm overreacting. But that felt like a very unsatisfying good week of baseball. Not all 4-3 homestands and not all series wins are created equal. We'll talk a little bit about that as we go today. So plenty of baseball to get to on the program. Going to get into some football as well. The Athletic released a power poll. Obviously, we're well ahead of the preseason, but a power ranking based on roster strength, weighted roster strength. So having a top quarterback means more than having like a top linebacker room, and having top, I'm assuming, wide receivers probably means more than having top running backs. But anyhow, the Chiefs come out pretty good in this ranking. Do you feel as good about the Chiefs as this one particular ranking? Because there's another ranking today that came out from NFL.com that is not quite as bullish. It's not quite as scientific. There's not a formula involved. But we'll discuss that, kind of where the Chiefs stand relative to their peers in the AFC West and the AFC as a whole, based on some power rankings that are going to start to come out. You're going to start to see more and more of that stuff as we get closer to OTAs, which are in a couple of weeks here for the Chiefs. And, of course, our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, will join the program today. He will be our guest, bottom of the 3 o'clock hour. We'll talk to Matt, what he thinks. He's got some pieces out there starting to grade the off seasons for all 32 teams. He just published not long ago his grades of the off seasons by AFC West teams. So we'll certainly talk to Matt about that and other news from around the league. Matt Verderame at SportsIllustrated.com or SI.com, Sports Illustrated, is our NFL insider. He'll join us at the bottom of this 3 o'clock hour. We've also got our typical Friday shenanigans. We got headlines. We got what is wrong with you. And we'll do good, bad, ugly from the weekend that was. That's all coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. And I definitely want to hear from you on the show today. The text line is open, 785-272-9429. That is the number at which you can text the program throughout the show today. Again, 785-272-9429. You can also interact if you're watching live on our YouTube channel. The live chat is open for business, and we appreciate those of you who interact in the live chat today. Whether you're a regular, whether you just pop in here and there when you can, we appreciate those of you who do weigh in on the show, interact with your fellow listeners, and have grown the 580 Sports Talk community in the live chat on our YouTube stream. Encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Go subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything but a click. Help us get closer to 1,000 subscribers. We are 44 away from that big round number. Help us get one step closer today. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. See Mark H. in the chat. Vance, Andrew, Ryan. I'm going in reverse order. Mr. Jayhawk is in the chat today. Good to see you. See Paul in the chat. McFly, JB. Good to see all of you in the chat today. Look forward to hearing from more of you as we go along throughout the program today. Let's begin with the Royals, though. They lost that last night. Let's start there. 6-3 loss last night. Talk about a game of inches. There were two swings on which I thought the Royals had a chance to turn the game that just missed. Off the bat, I thought Carter Jensen's sacrifice fly in the bottom of the third inning was a no-doubt 3-run home run. Like, I couldn't believe that came down in an outfielder's glove. That was a nothing ball over the middle of the plate, and Carter Jensen hit it 105 miles an hour off the bat. Just got a fraction underneath it. And it drove in a run, so good outcome there of the at-bat. Could have been a 3-run home run that could have flipped the lead and put the pressure on the Tigers, who were trying to muddle through with a bullpen game after the suspension of Framber Valdez earlier in the week. Royals would still get the game tied, but Nick Mears faltered, gave up a 2-run home run to somebody I definitely knew existed before the weekend, Gage Workman. And then the Tigers were able to touch Daniel Lynch, which not many have this year. Haven't seen Lynch give up too many runs, but he gave one up in the top of the 7th, made it a 3-run ball game. Royals put something together in the bottom of the 8th, first and second, one out. Michael Massey coming to the plate. Massey, one of the heroes of Saturday night with his 3-run home run. And Massey got one off the end of the bat. If he'd barreled it, I think it gets through into center field for a hit that scores a run, puts first and third with one out, keeps the rally going. Instead, it's a double play. And a double play, again, by mere inches. But those were the two swings that I thought swung the game last night that were this close to being different outcomes. But that will be one that the Royals will feel like they probably should have won. You feel like when you go into a game and you have a starting pitcher and the other team doesn't, And the Detroit bullpen right now, not exactly rolling out, a cavalcade of stars. This is hardly like, we didn't really see it because they had a pretty healthy rotation throughout the year. But like if the 2015 Royals had to bullpen a game, they would have been all right, right? They had guys coming out the ears. This Tigers team, not that kind of bullpen. They've got a bullpen game. You've got Noah Cameron on the mound. That's a game going into it. You feel like you ought to win. And had the Royals won, it would have been a sweep. It would have been a return volley to the Detroit sweep of Kansas City back in April. Instead, it's a loss, and it's a mere series win. And look, when this homestand opened on Monday, 4 games against Cleveland, 3 games against Detroit. If I'd offered you 4-3 and a series win over the Tigers, I think that's an outcome that, without knowing anything about the games, without knowing anything about how the starting pitcher was going to shake out. I mean, again, on Monday morning, we thought the Royals were going to have to go through Skubal and Valdez. And they ended up not seeing either of those guys. 4-3 with a series win over Detroit. Would you have taken it? Yeah, you take it. You take the outcome. It's not a bad week. It's a good week. It's a good series win against a Detroit team that has struggled on the road, a Detroit team that you're going to need to beat, and that the Royals, I think psychologically a little bit, did need to prove to themselves that they could beat. So it's a good week. It's a good week. And a good series. It was a good series. Friday night's win might have been the best win of the season. Down 3-1 in the 8th, rally back. Kyle Isbell sneaks one through for a walk-off hit. You always feel good when you can walk off on a Friday night. That's always fun. It's a good week and a good series. But could have been a great week. Couldn't have? One more win makes it a great week. Just one more win of the 3 that the Royals could not win. And the Royals had the pressure on both Cleveland and Detroit this past week. They won the first 2 games of the Cleveland series. Just get one of the next 2 and you win that series. It's not easy to win. Generally speaking, those 2-2 or those 4-game series when you're playing a team that's in your weight class, so to speak. Like so I'm talking like you're playing a team that's about as good, roughly as good as you. You're not playing one of the very best. You're not playing a 100-win team or a 100-loss team, right? You're playing somebody in between. A lot of those, no matter where they're played, they're going to end up 2-2. No blood. That's just kind of the nature of it. So 2-2 is not a bad outcome, but it could have been so much better. It was right there to have been so much better. And the Royals had Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo go on back-to-back days to try and win that series, and they couldn't do it. And then they had a chance to sweep Detroit. And it could have been a great series. And it could have been an equal response to being swept in Detroit back in April. At a time when, like the Tigers right now, the Royals were really struggling on the road. We're really dealing with some offensive difficulties. And the Royals didn't get it done. Not all 4-3 homestands, not all winning series are created equal. And I think it is fair. I do not think that it is asking too much of the 2026 Kansas City Royals to feel like some meat was left on the bone this last week. Even while acknowledging that what was accomplished, again, write it down on paper, winning homestand against the Central, winning series over the Tigers for the first time since 2024. Write it down on paper. It looks good. It's a good week. It's good. It's a B, right? It's a B. Did you ever bring a B home on an essay in high school or a test or a report card and have your parents ask you, couldn't that have been an A? Could that maybe have been an A? There's a difference between a B when that's your max, that's what you can do, and you get a B, be proud of that B if that's the best you can do. I was not a great science student, okay, in high school. That was my one subject that was a real weakness for me. I had trouble wrapping my brain around formulas in that way, which is weird, right? You guys know how much I love numbers, baseball stats, stats in any sport. You know how much I get down with the numbers, but I couldn't translate it to science. It never worked for me. So I was not a great science student. If I got a B or a B plus in a science class, I felt pretty good about that. But if I had brought home a B or a B plus in a history class or a math class or an English class or a Spanish class, second language class, I think my mom and dad might have looked at that and said, Dan, couldn't that have been an A? You're capable. Couldn't that have been an A? And I don't know what my excuse would have been, because I'll be honest, I not to humble brag a little bit, but I didn't bring home a ton of B's in my high school days. College, I kind of coasted. College, I got what I could get while still getting in enough NCAA football on the PlayStation to scratch that particular itch. Did a little more coasting in college. Got my degree with plenty of room to spare. One of the cum laudes. Not summa or magna, but cum laude at least. But anyway, we strayed a long way from the initial point I was trying to make here. Sometimes a B is good. Sometimes a B represents a feeling like maybe you left a little something on the table. You left that A on the table. I think the Royals should feel, frankly, for the expectations that many of us have for this team to be a contender in the Central, feel like you left a little bit on the table this weekend. Feel like you left it on the table because Noah Cameron was not sharp yesterday. I want to dig more into Cameron before I really, and he might be a guy I bring up on tomorrow's show, because we're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into some individuals at the 40-game mark. Cameron wasn't real good yesterday. Gave up 3 runs, 5 hits, 3 walks in his 4 innings. Did strike out 4. Cameron went out there pitching like he didn't know you didn't have to go to a full count on every hitter. He was 3-2 on everybody. And if you missed any of the TV coverage last night, Adam Ottavino is on the NBC/Peacock Sunday Night Baseball broadcast. Longtime big league reliever, most notably with Colorado, though he had some time with the Yankees and the Mets and the Red Sox. Started with the Cardinals before he went to Colorado. He was at his best as a Rocky. So, he's my guy. But Adam Ottavino's on the broadcast and made a really interesting point about Noah Cameron's arm slot, and basically pointing out that Cameron has lost some effectiveness on his breaking pitches because he dropped his arm slot. This is, again, the kind of thing that you can measure now. They keep this stat, that his arm slot had dropped about 8 degrees. Think about it like an arm on a clock. That he was at about a 48-degree arm angle last year, and this year he'd come out at about a 40-degree angle. Lower arm angle meant he was having trouble getting the same sort of depth and bite on his breaking pitches. Really good point. I'm so glad somebody that isn't ESPN has these baseball broadcasts now, because they're putting people on who are smart talking about baseball instead of like A-Rod trying to do like a wedge a business seminar in between at-bats. A-Rod likes baseball. He's just very good at talking about it. Not everybody is. So it was interesting to note, as Royals Review did on social media last night, that last night Noah Cameron's arm angle was way up. Noah Cameron's arm angle was much closer to what it was last year. And that's why he was throwing some good sliders. He had a really good slider get a strikeout in the first inning, but wasn't commanding anything. He was in and out of the strike zone. It doesn't matter the depth of your breaking pitches or how effective those are. They're effective if they're strikes. And he wasn't throwing enough strikes. Only 57 strikes on 95 pitches and 95 pitches in 4 innings for Noah Cameron. It wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. It really hasn't been good enough for Cameron most of this season. His ERA sits in the mid-5s after his impressive rookie campaign. And then the bullpen struggled. And for Mears, his first really rough outing, his first outing, he's been scored upon in a good long while. A rare misstep for Lynch. And that was it. That was the ballgame, because the Royals had some opportunities, put up some crooked numbers, and couldn't do it. Jensen missed a homer by a grain in the third. Obviously, in the first inning, you get the first 2 on with nobody out. And Pasquantino, Collins, and Jensen all fail to get the job done. So the Royals had the chance to throw the first punch and couldn't do it. Frustrating game. And it turns a series win, an objectively good outcome. You gained a game on this team that you think you're going to be in a dogfight with all season. turns it into feeling a little bit disappointing. So, yeah, if you feel like the Royals left some meat on the bone this week, you're not alone. You're not alone in that feeling. We'll see how much it matters. Look, if this were late August, right, or early September, and it's the same opponents and it's the same games back department, it looks the same in the games back column in the standings, and you've got this opportunity and you go 4-3, when you're running out of games, it's definitely not good enough. I would say so. But for May, it's just good enough. It's good enough to make you feel better getting on the airplane to go play Chicago. But yeah, couldn't that be been an A? I guess that's what I'm asking about this Royals team. If your best is giving me a B, are you not capable of the A? That's the 41 game question, I suppose, for the Kansas City Royals. Your thoughts. Text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the number. That's 785-272-9429. Also, we'll get to your YouTube comments. A lot of those early on. Appreciate that. We'll see what's popping in the YouTube chat after this timeout. Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, is going to join us in about 10 minutes or so. We're going to talk some NFL news and notes. We got some Chiefs talk later on in the show today. Plenty more Royals to get to. What is wrong with you? Headlines, good, bad, ugly. It's a Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. Glad you're along for the ride here on WIBW. .30 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting underway on this Monday. Appreciate those of you who are checking out the show here on 580 Sports Talk. I'm Dan Lucero. I don't remember if I mentioned that earlier. I don't think I definitely didn't say that Spencer Dupuis will be along in the 4 o'clock hour and that Brendan Dworzynski is off today. I definitely didn't say that. I don't remember if I told you who I was. And if you don't know by now you know. But by any name, I'm glad to be with you here on this Monday. Let's get to some reaction here. The Royals went 4-3 on the week. They split with Cleveland. They beat Detroit. Had to prove they could beat Detroit in a series. Did. Needed to have a winning weekend, protect their home ballpark, and win their homestand. They did. You go 4-3 on every 7-game homestand, you probably have a pretty good chance to play in October. Like, that's just the math, right? It's a good homestand. It also, in some ways, feels like a missed opportunity. And I think more so with the losses to Cleveland. I think, doubling back, I'm less disappointed about yesterday's loss. Like, Detroit's good, even banged up. Even though, like, again, in a vacuum, it's a bullpen game. You want to win that one in particular. But 2 out of 3 over that team is not a bad outcome. Solid outcome. It's the 2 against Cleveland, where you've already won the first 2, and you've got Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo lined up for the next 2, and you can't get one of them. That's the frustration. If they had gotten one of those games, 5-2 on the homestand, you feel great. Even with yesterday's loss. Like, that's a bit of a damper, but 5-2 on the homestand, they'd be 20-21. You'd really feel like you were in fact, I think I might even put them in first place. They could have gotten one of those over Cleveland, because Cleveland dropped 2 over the weekend to Minnesota. But there's a lesson there, too, that Cleveland dropped 2 out of 3 to Minnesota. Like, this division doesn't have a team that is as bad as the White Sox have been the last couple of years, it would appear. Certainly they don't have a 2024 White Sox in this division. So it's a decent chance that they're just going to beat up on each other all season long. You're going to see a bunch of season series that look like 6-7, 7-6, 8-5. Like, you're not going to see like dominance, I don't think, or one divisional foe over the next. That just might be how the Central is this year. But anyway, some good comments on YouTube so far. Going to get to some now. We'll get to some more in the 4 o'clock hour. Want to see what some of you think about this club. Andrew says, no, it was not a good week. It was a mediocre week for the Royals. Now, I would dispute that, but you're entitled to your opinion. He says they had to come back Friday, did the same thing in Detroit, mentally couldn't get it done. The Friday win was huge. I really think the Friday win was the best of the season for the Royals. They don't get that. Who knows how the weekend goes? Who knows? Maybe they play a little more desperation on Sunday. But, yeah, Friday's win was huge. Friday's win, I think, maybe the most important of the season. That one and the one to finish the sweep against the Angels right now are the 2 biggest wins of the Royals season. Mr. Jayhawk has this point. He says, I don't think the team plays with any sense of urgency. Seems like they're going through the motions, except for Bobby Witt Jr. I would, again, object to the broader premise, but I think you do hit at something. Not on an individual basis. I would say that there has not been maybe a ruthless streak. And this is a hard thing in baseball, right? Like, because the other team practices too. And it's not really a sport of aggression. It's not really a sport where you impose your will, right? It's not like football. It's not like hockey. It's not an impose your will kind of sport. But the Royals have had chances to win series, to sweep series that they have let go by the wayside this year in a way that I do think stands out. How many times this year, like, Royals had a chance for a sweep of Minnesota in their season opening home series with Reagans on the bump in the finale and didn't get it done. They won the opener at Cleveland and lost the next 2, one on a walk-off. Had a chance to get 3 out of 4 from the White Sox. They lost the first one, got shut out, but then won the next 2. They had that Sunday game where the bullpen let it get away, and they lose that game. They win the opener in Sacramento, lose the next 2. They win the first 2 against Cleveland, don't finish that with a series win. Have a chance to sweep Detroit, don't do it. And look, nobody's going to bat 1,000, right? Like, nobody's going 162-0, but it is, I think, noteworthy that they've had some big chances to not just make it a good series, but to make it a sweep or to go get a winning series on the road that they have let go by the wayside. I do think that is notable. I don't think that's down to anything on an individual level. That just could be, well, that's baseball. But I do think that stands out. That's one of the things I think that stands out about the early run. So I don't think you're entirely off base there, Mr. Jayhawk. What else do we have here that I want to get to? Paul asked if the Royals are worth investing in, or are they going to be interesting in it till the last week of the season, but eventually wind up on the outside looking in? Paul, that would be the dictionary definition of being invested in. If they are in it till the final week of the season, you know what you had? You had a fun summer. Think of how many years in your life and mine that the Royals have not been in it till the last week of May or June. If they're in it till the last week of the season, you don't invest, you missed a fun ride. And look, I'll say this. I am still of the belief that this is a team that can win the Central. That has more to do with how the Central looks than how the Royals have played to this point, I'll grant. But do I think that this is a team that can be in it for the long haul in the Central? Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. Some things have to get better, though, if they want to, take control. But this does not feel like a division that is beyond the Royals' grasp. There's nobody out there, God, what were they out of first place, even with the hot start last year or the hot May? They were still 5.5 out of first place. The Tigers looked like they were going to run away with it. That would feel different. If there was a team in the division I felt like was going to run away with it, it would feel different. But there isn't. We'll take a break, and we'll take a little break from talking Royals, but there's some more good comments in the YouTube chat I want to get to in the 4 o'clock hour, and we will. When we come back, though, it's our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, and that is coming up next right here on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline by our NFL insider, Matt Verderame, who writes for the league, covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com, also appears on That Football Show on the Kansas City Sports Network, KCSN, and has his own Patreon you can subscribe to, the Matt Verderame Show. Matt, plenty of football we're going to get into, but I want to allow you a moment. The New York Knicks are in the Eastern Conference Finals. They got the look right now, Matt.
They do. Look, I am scarred by 30 years of pain with that team. So I'm always expecting the absolute worst possible thing at some point. Like, I'm basically like Charlie Brown kicking the football.
Right?
Like, you expect it. But I will say that was an epic beating of Philadelphia. Like, I just kept watching the series thinking, like, okay, Philadelphia at some point here has got to do something. Like, they've got to push back. And By about the third quarter of game, I was like, no, they're not gonna win a game.
Yeah.
This is done, and it's been beautiful.
Yeah, I tell you, if they shoot 57% from three every game the rest of the year, I don't know who's going to beat them. I don't think the '86 Celtics would beat them, but I wanted to make sure I congratulated you and on the Knicks going to the Eastern Conference Finals. But let's give the people what they want. Talk a little football. You've got a piece out at SI.com. You've been grading the off seasons and going division by division. The AFC South and the AFC West are already out. For the AFC West, you give the Chiefs a solid grade. What are you the most pleased with the Chiefs having done to this point in the offseason? The thing that you think they've done the best, or the move or series of moves that you would give the highest mark to for the Chiefs?
I know this is a really easy answer, but I think it's the right answer. It's fixing their running back situation. That running back room last year was so bad. It really hindered their entire offense. Like, a lot of times, especially in the current NFL, you may not run the ball particularly well, but like, you can still throw the ball and it doesn't really impact you. You know, maybe you're in a little bit of a longer down distance than you like, what have you. They got to a point last year. They were so anemic running the ball that teams would just be like, yeah, we're just going to drop 7 into coverage and not even blink at play action. It doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do about it. Getting rid of Pacheco and Hunt and bringing in real weaponry. I mean, look, we all talk about Walker, and we should. I mean, he's the big bell cow for them. But I was sitting there listening last night, and I might be a touch off on some of the numbers right in front of me. The Chiefs running backs, like, take out any receivers or quarterbacks, had 337 carries, and they had 1 20-plus yard run. One. The acquisition of Kenneth Walker, he had 10 of them. But here's the more amazing stat. Amari DiMarcado had 44 carries last season and had 2 such runs. He had double the Chiefs' entire running back room for runs of over 20 yards and had about 12% of the carries. So I just think that is going to be a world of difference for a team that is trying to kind of re-identify themselves offensively.
It has been an interesting offseason across the AFC West. Obviously, the Raiders are in a full rebuild. They have the number 1 overall pick. They're trying to retool. They're still a year or 2 away from being really interesting, really relevant. But I want to talk about the 2 playoff teams from last year in the division. You have not been a fan of the Chargers offseason. What don't you like about what the Chargers have done to try and build on 2 straight playoff appearances?
I just feel like they're not doing anything. Like, my problem with this Chargers is I even sometimes will look at a team, even if I don't personally agree with the moves they're making, if I see the vision, okay, I may not personally have gone there. Okay, fine. I understand that. What are the Chargers doing to get better? What is it exactly? Yes, Alton Slater, they should be healthier this year. That obviously is going to help. That's terrific. Their interior line has been abjectly horrendous year after year after year. Their answer to that, like, I like Tyler Blados. He's a solid center. Okay. You brought in Jake Slaughter out of the second round of Florida, who is a center. He has never played any other position. All of a sudden, now they're going to move him to guard. They have no idea if he can play guard. Why not just draft a guard? I don't know. They did nothing to fill the other guard position. Mekhi Becton's gone. Zion Johnson, he was a bust of the first-round pick, fine, but he's gone. And then at receiver, you went into the offseason thinking, okay, they might let Keenan Allen walk, but they've got to get better around Loudon McConkey. Ray Harris did nothing as a rookie, and Quentin Johnson is Quentin Johnson. And they did literally nothing. They just sat there and said, okay, we're going to let Allen still, by the way, he's still a free agent for the record, so maybe you can bring him back, but he's out there. They did nothing there. And then they let Odafe Oweh walk, who was really good for them last year. He came over from Baltimore, he had 7 sacks in 12 games, he's a really good player. And they let him leave so they could re-sign 35-year-old Khalil Mack for 1 more year. But how are you better? How, other than just saying, hey, the tackles are healthy, how is that team appreciatively better? And I think the answer is they're not. They're not better. But that team is not better than they were, and their schedule is brutal compared to what it was a year ago.
Matt Verderame is our guest, our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk, covers the league for Sports Illustrated, SI.com, joins us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline every Monday. Matt, I think you could say a lot of similar things that you said there, wrapping up your thoughts on the Chargers about the Denver Broncos, who won 14 games last year, won the division, went to the AFC Championship game. They're running it back with basically the same roster plus Jalen Waddle. Is that good enough? I know they spent all their money a couple of off seasons ago, and then they've got to keep some powder dry because they're going to have to give Bo Nix some money too. But is this a roster that's really good enough, or are they banking on more of the same in terms of short, close game variance that they got last year? Or
Right.
do you think there's another step forward for this group to take and another step forward for Nix to take?
Well, I think that's the million-dollar question, right? Like, if bringing in Waddle brings Nix up a level, then they have enough, I think, to be a contender. Now, but the flip side of that is, if Waddle is not enough to do that, then you are, as you pointed out, and I would agree with you, you are relying on winning a lot of weird games again. I mean, look, Denver, to their credit, won 14 games last year. When the Chiefs won 15 a couple of years ago, I sat here on I'm sure this station, everywhere else I talked about it, and said, hey, look, winning close games is a skill. It is not easy to do. Now, the Chiefs also had a dynasty backing them up. It's a little bit different than Denver doing it for a year. But Denver won a lot of games like that against bad football teams, the Jets, the Titans, the Giants. I mean, they won weird games all year long, barely beating Chris Oladokun at the end of the year. Like, it was just weird. My gut feeling says I still think they're a good team, but I think they're like a 10-win team, which is more in line with what they were 2 years ago and not last year. The thing that concerns me with Nix is he led the league last year in pass attempts. He had 612. He still didn't throw for 4,000 yards. That's almost impossible. Like, to lead the league in pass attempts and you didn't throw for 4,000 yards in today's NFL? So, look, I think they're moderately better, but I think if they're going to win a Super Bowl and get to a Super Bowl, it's going to be because that defense is just absolutely lights out, and Nix can do just enough. And look, maybe that happens. We've seen teams do that before, but it is a narrow path.
Some more NFL talk with Matt Verderame, our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Revealed today, we're going to get the full schedule on Thursday, but revealed today that the first Sunday night football game of the year is going to be the Cowboys and the Giants. And on the one hand, oh, great, more of the Cowboys and the Giants on NBC and Sunday Night Football. Feels like we get them every year. Even if the game isn't any good, it feels like we get Cowboys-Giants on Sunday night every single year. That being said, Matt, this feels like a more interesting Cowboys-Giants matchup than maybe we've gotten in a long while, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, because, Joe Judge and Ben McAdoo aren't on the sideline. So
that helps.
It's like, one team actually has a chance. Yeah, but I do agree. It does feel like we get this game every single year. But it is more interesting because Harbaugh is there, and Dart's an interesting young talent. We'll see if Malik Neighbors is back in the HL at that point. Look, I try to stay away from having a hot take, but if I had one hot take this year, I actually think the Giants are going to win that division if Dart's healthy. That's the one big caveat to it, obviously. But if Dart can stay on the field, I think that team's the best team in the division. I think Harbaugh is going to get a lot out of him. So it is interesting from my standpoint of, hey, how far along are they? Now, I expect teams like that, they usually get better as the year goes on because it's a lot of parts and they have a lot of youth. But, they are both interesting in that regard. And with Dallas, Schottenheimer year 2, I think he did a pretty good job year 1. New defensive coordinator coming in to replace Matty, plus Christian Parker's in there now. They brought in Rashawn Gary. Are the Cowboys a playoff team? Are they? I don't think anybody thinks they're a Super Bowl team, but are they a 10-win team? Are they a team that, hey, listen, you catch them on the wrong day, they can hang 30 on you, they could be a problem. It is an intriguing game more than it has been in years past, where it's kind of felt like the Giants are just there to be there, and the Cowboys, fine, sure, but there's really no huge upside.
If you were in charge, you were the NFL czar of scheduling, would you have the Chiefs in primetime week 1, maybe Monday night, maybe send them to Seattle for the season opener on the Wednesday night where the Seahawks will have their banner night? Or do you not roll the dice on a week 1 Mahomes return and maybe keep your powder dry on some of the primetime games for the Chiefs until later?
I would play him later in primetime, but not because I think Mahomes wouldn't be there. My feeling would just be, I think, the Chiefs, we all understand their record last year stunk. They're the 5th best odds to win the Super Bowl this year. Like, they're going to be there unless something weird happens, like it did last year where the Chiefs lost every close game they played and a million guys got hurt. I'm a big believer of, like, those teams that are the blue bloods, if you will. The Chiefs and the Niners and the Rams and the Bills and whoever else you want to throw in there. I like to see those teams in prime time later in the year because the games are bigger, they're more defined, gives what's at stake. I would rather throw teams into the mix, the primetime mix, that are kind of like you don't know what you're going to get, but they're interesting early on. Because if that thing goes south, then you got the 3-9 Vikings playing in Week 13 in Atlanta on a Monday night. Nobody wants that. I think the Seattle game, I'd play the Bears against them. I think the Bears are really interesting. I'd put the Bears against them because I don't want to see the Super Bowl rematch. The game itself is not that exciting. I think Chicago being their big market, interesting team, almost got to the NFC title game. I think that would be a really intriguing game.
Now, there's almost nobody else because the Rams and the 49ers are spoken for. Obviously, they play in Australia. And
right.
Now the Cowboys and the Giants, who both go to Seattle, are spoken for. So, yeah, it's either the Chiefs, Bears, or Patriots at this point. And I'm kind of with you, man. I think that it's kind of in the same sort of vein where the NFL sent the Lions to Arrowhead. I think it was 3 years ago, and the game where Kadarius Toney cost the Chiefs a full 7 points of expected points added
minimum. Oh my God, I covered that game. It was unbelievable. I thought after the game he was going to go to the Lions locker room. It was. I've never seen a game like that. You walked out of the game going, "Listen, I know it's not all about one guy, but it was really all about one guy." Like, that was unbelievable. You're like, "Well, this won't happen all year long." And what do you know?
Yeah. What do you know? Right? Yeah, it sure did. But no, I think I'm with you there. I think it's going to be the Bears for Seattle on Wednesday night. We'll probably find out about that one at some point ahead of the schedule release, which is Thursday. And we'll have all that to talk about with Matt Verderame when we have him on next Monday. Matt Verderame is our NFL insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Joins us every week in the Fleming Place Wine Spirits Hotline. Check out his work at SI.com, in Sports Illustrated, on That Football Show, on the KC Sports Network, KCSN, and his Patreon, The Matt Verderame Show. Matt, it is always a pleasure. And the longer these playoffs go, the more I'll be cheering for the Knicks as paragons of ethical hoops against what Oklahoma City runs out there. I hope they squash. I am. I'll go dig my old John Starks jersey out and pull for the Knicks in the playoffs for you.
All right. From your lips to God's ears.
Hey, appreciate you, Matt. We'll do it again next week.
All right, take care.
That is Matt Verderame. We'll take a break, come back with the good, the bad, the ugly from the weekend that was next on 580 Sports Talk. The good, the bad, and the ugly from the weekend to wrap up this first hour on a Monday on 580 Sports Talk. My good, that Friday night walk-off win for the Royals. Like I said earlier, I think that's their best win of the season to date. Certainly the most fun. Who doesn't love a walk-off, right? And the Royals have had their share, already 3 walk-off wins this year, but that might have been the most fun of the bunch to walk it off in that fashion against a division rival and the Tigers, who had walked them off the last time that the Royals had played them. And don't look now, but the Royals are 6-1 in those new City Connect uniforms this year. Might want to wear them more often on the weekends. Might want to wear them all the time. I probably don't need to wear them all the time, but 6-1 in those uniforms. So yeah, that was my good. The bad was the Royals being unable to finish the sweep yesterday. That would have been a big sweep. That would have made for a really, really great homestand. And maybe I'm just picking nits, but that does feel like a bit of a missed opportunity for the boys in blue. My ugly, not Victor Wembanyama clocking Naz Reid in the face with an elbow that got him ejected from Game 4 of the Western Conference semifinals between the Spurs and the Wolves. Everything that led up to Victor getting so heated that he elbowed Naz Reid in the face. NBA, if you officiated games the right way, you wouldn't have a big pacifist Frenchman like Wemby think you need to take matters into his own hands like that. Call the games the right way. Wolves foul all the time. Call them for some fouls. Coming back with some thoughts on the Royals at the 40-game mark and some what is wrong with you and some Chiefs talk at 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 of 580 Sports Talk on a Monday afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk is the channel, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. I'm Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis will be here in just a bit. Brendan Warzinski is off today. Thanks for hanging out on this Monday. 2 more hours of sports talk coming your way before we wrap things up. No Royals baseball today. Royals are off. They open a 3-game series on the south side at Rate Field against the White Sox tomorrow night. All night games in Chicago. No day baseball for the Royals until, or weekday day baseball, I should specify, for the Royals until Memorial Day, which is not next Monday, but the Monday after. So if you like those midweek day games, you're out of luck until Memorial Day. The next 2 weeks, the Royals have night games during the work week. So that means we got to sing for our supper here on 580 Sports Talk. None of the coming on and doing the post-game show and being on for 2 hours or 1 hour or sometimes less than that, as the case may be. So you get a full week of sports talk here this week with nothing but 6 o'clock pregame starts. 3 in Chicago, followed by 3 in St. Louis this week for the Royals. And if it feels like the Royals haven't played much interleague baseball, that would be correct. They have only played 2 interleague series so far. And that'll be part of the discussion we have coming up this hour. The Royals are at game number 41. We always talk about the 40-game mark because Dayton Moore always talked about the 40-game mark. And say what you will about Dayton Moore. Goodness knows we've said lots about Dayton Moore. It's a daily sports talk radio show, and he was around in the job for a very long time, in some good years and some not good years. So we have said a lot about Dayton Moore. But I'll say this. The 40-game theory has given us something to talk about in the month of May ever since he was the general manager of the team. So we're at that point in the season where you start to feel like, I mean, we got a handle on who this team is. I don't really know if we've got a handle on the Royals yet. I don't really know. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think we can definitively say, like 2 years ago, when the Royals ended up making the playoffs, they were 24-17, 41 games in, and it felt like we turned on the mics the Monday after the Royals hit that 40-game mark and said, "Yeah, man, Royals good." And last year they were 24-17 through 41 games. We probably opened the mic and say, "Yeah, Royals good," and then a whole bunch of guys started getting hurt, and that it got a little less fun after that. But the Royals are 19-22. But I'm not ready to open the mic and say, yeah, Royals are bad. Nor am I wanting to say, now this is a good team hiding in plain sight, because I don't think we have enough evidence of that either. I think we've had some pretty wild swings so far with this Royals team, and we'll try to look at what this team has been and maybe try to look at what needs to happen for this team to have better outcomes in the final 121 games of the season. Also get into some football this hour. Our thanks to Matt Verderame, our NFL insider, for joining us in the last segment, talking about how rosters look now. Because in reality, we're not going to see too much more in the way of moves that are going to dramatically change a roster. Like, A.J. Brown's probably getting traded. That's about a month away. We're probably going to see that. That will improve whichever team, i.e. the Patriots, that gets A.J. Brown. And there are still some veterans on the market that will help some teams on the margins at wide receiver and at edge rusher, 2 positions where it just so happens the Chiefs need help. But there's not going to be much that happens from this point forward to like dramatically swing a division, perhaps. So you can take a look at the rosters now and get a pretty good feel for kind of the hierarchy in both conferences. And if that's the case, where do the Chiefs stand? One power ranking thinks they've got one of the very best rosters in football. One power ranking that is a little less scientifically minded, mathematically minded, says they don't have a top 10 roster in the NFL. So we'll dig into that a little bit later on this hour. We'll also start a new week of What Is Wrong With You here in this 4 o'clock hour of the show. And, of course, we are eager to hear your thoughts, your opinions, your takes. The text line is open for that purpose. You can send us a text, 785-272-9429. That's 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on YouTube. If you're watching live on our YouTube channel, every time the show is live, we are live on YouTube. If we're live on the radio, we are live on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel. Go subscribe today if you have yet to do so. All it costs you is a click or a tap of your screen. And if you're watching the show live, do jump into that live chat. Say hello. Interact with your fellow listeners and your host and help grow that 580 Sports Talk community. So the Royals are 19-22 as it stands today. That is a 75-win pace. I don't need to tell you that 75-win teams don't play October baseball. Each of the last 2 years, the Royals, through the same number of games, had the same number of wins. The 2024 Royals, who did make the playoffs, and the 2025 Royals, who didn't, were each 24-17 at this point, which was a 94-win pace. But let me tell you something fascinating about the way the last 2 seasons have begun for the Royals and the way that this season has begun. When you're talking about a 41-game sample, much of that has to do with who you've played. When you get up to the 162-game sample, you've played everybody. And yeah, like sometimes you have a tougher interleague schedule because you play better teams on the road and you play the less good teams at home. Or, you know, divisionally speaking, you might have an easier divisional schedule than a team in the AL East. Or this year, the NL Central looks like, and I am skeptical that it will stay this way all year, but the NL Central right now has 5 teams with a winning record, where, of course, quite notably, the AL Central has no teams with a winning record. All the good baseball in the Central being played in the National League. But obviously, your divisional strength of schedule will determine how strong your schedule is. But, like, you can always compare to your peers at the end of the day because you're playing those same teams 13 times in your division. But in the small sample size, you haven't had enough chance to get caught up. So you've played a very different looking accumulation of teams than anybody else. It's a very random sample. So the Royals so far this year have played a much, I say it twice for emphasis, tougher schedule to start 2026 than they did in either of the first 2 seasons. So far this year, let me ask you the question this way. Who's good? Who do we know for a fact is good in the American League? There are 3 teams with a winning record. And I'm still not sure the Rays are that good, even though they've got the best record in the American League after the Yankees got swept by the Brewers this weekend. But the Rays are 26-13. They have the Yankees, 26-15. Royals have played them on the road. The third best team in the AL is the Sacramento Athletics. Do I think they're good? I don't know. Somebody's got to win the West. Why not them? I think their lack of pitching will catch up with them, but they played better than their peers so far. And the Royals have also played them on the road. So 2 of the 3 teams with a winning record in the American League, the Royals have played away from home. Who's the best team in baseball? Right now, it's the Atlanta Braves, 28-13. Royals played them 3 away from home. Their other interleague series so far is against Milwaukee, who at 22-16 has the 5th best record in the National League. And the Royals did get them on their home turf. But that's been the bulk of the non-division schedule for the Royals right now is 2 of the 3 teams with a winning record in the American League on the road and 2 interleague series against good teams, 1 on the road and 1 at home. And looking more broadly at the American League right now, we might not think there are any good teams, but it also doesn't feel like there's anybody who out and out sucks. I shouldn't say that. Stinks. Let's go with stinks. Let's be nice. Only the Angels are the Los Angeles Angels are the only team in the American League that I am willing to say right now that team stinks. Houston's got a lot of injury problems. That's a big part of the reason why they're 16-25, and all their injuries are on the pitching side. They've got about the best offense in the American League. I still don't think that's a terrible team, but I think the Angels are the one team. If I had to say definitively in the American League, who's bad, I would say the Angels. Royals took 3 out of 3 from the Angels. But, there's not a team that is White Sox bad, right? You don't have that team in the American League. The White Sox themselves actually a half a game ahead of the Royals in the standings. They appear to be the same flavor of mediocre to date that the Royals have been, that everybody in the American League Central has been. I tell you all of that to make this point, to contrast how the Royals have started schedule-wise compared to how they started the previous 2 seasons. In 2025, the Royals, through 41 games, were 9-1 against 3 of the worst teams in baseball to that point. They were 7-0 against the Rockies and the White Sox at home. They had swept the Rockies in 3. They had taken 4 from the White Sox. They went 2-1 against Baltimore, also at the K. So they played 3 of the absolute worst teams. Those were all last place teams. They played them early, and they went 9-1. In games not against 3 of the worst teams in baseball, the Royals were 15-16, right around mediocre to start 2025. In 2024, it was even more stark. The Royals had already played 21 games against the 4 worst starting teams in the American League through that stretch. They had played 21 of their 41 games against the Blue Jays, the Angels, the Astros, and the White Sox. And the Astros got healthier, and they were a playoff team in 2024, but they got off to a miserable start that year. Toronto wasn't real good. The Angels are the Angels. The White Sox in 2024 were historically bad. The Royals were 17-4 in their first 41 games, 21 of them against those 4 teams. They were 17-4, and they were 7-13 against everyone else. So the Royals have played not just a tougher schedule, a much tougher schedule on paper to start their campaigns. That is part of the reason why I look at their record and think that's kind of why their record is what it is. And eventually the Royals are going to get to play some teams that aren't as good. We'll figure out as the year goes on who those teams are. Because frankly, I don't know. Maybe everybody's, again, the same flavor of mediocre, and just how many games you can take off of the middle of the pack is going to be what determines your record. Where the Royals, the last 2 years, were really good against the dregs. And that's a good thing to be, right? But when there aren't as many dregs, you don't get as many free meals. And the Royals enjoyed some free meals the last couple of years that they have yet to enjoy, with the exception of the home sweep of the Angels. But looking more broadly, I thought, well, okay, that's a contrast to the records, but how were the Royals performing for the start of the first 3 years? The Royals offense to start 2026 performing roughly the same. And in fact, WRC Plus, which will normalize for the league environment and the year, says it has performed at the same level, slightly below league average to start the season. Both the 2026 and 2024 offenses had a 96 WRC plus to start in their first 41 games. This Royals team has gotten on base more often. That 2024 team had a slightly higher slugging percentage. And really, the 2024 Royals kind of maintained their offensive numbers that they had through 41 games. Like, there wasn't a big offensive jump. Last year, of course, the Royals got off to a miserable offensive start. They had an 82 WRC plus as a team, which they raised 11 points from the 41-game mark all the way to the end of the year. Most of that was slugging. They raised their slugging percentage as the team 33 points. But this offense, roughly the same as the 2024 offense. What's the biggest difference? So far, it's the pitching. And I got to say, I didn't see that coming with the 2026 Royals. I did feel better about the pitching than I did about the offense to start this season. But where in 2024, the Royals as a team had a 346 earned run average through 41 games. ERA through 41 games. This Royals team ranks 20th in the league in earned run average with a 4.27 ERA. The fielding independent numbers back that ERA up. They almost look identical. So it's not as though there has been good fortune either way. There's nothing you could immediately point to and say, well, the Royals have been unlucky, or the Royals have actually been lucky to pitch that well. No, they kind of deserve the team ERA they've got. While they're middle of the pack in strikeout rate, which is an improvement from where they've been the last couple of seasons, it's the walk rate that has taken the biggest hit, and the home run rate. They have been much wilder. They're walking nearly 4.5 batters per nine, which ranks 27th in the league. And they're giving up over a home run per nine, which has not been the case to start the last couple of seasons, which you consider that we always talk about how rare it is that the ball really starts flying out of Kauffman Stadium until later in the season. Anyhow, once you get to the summer, once it gets warm, the Royals' home run rate being as high as it is, 1.1 per nine, 19th in the league out of 30, does raise an eyebrow. So that right now is kind of the primary takeaway. JB asked this at the very top of the show in our live chat on YouTube. Are we more concerned with the Royals pitching over the bats down? I would have to say yes at this point. Concern being a relative term. Now, I think that, I am holding my breath on Cole Reagans' health. That's obviously a big deal. If he's not healthy, then there's nothing that can be done about that. But long haul, I think Cole Reagans to get back in the strike zone. I do think it's interesting that the walk rates are up all over the league. We've talked about this. The strikeout rate, the strike zone has tightened up, so there are more walks all over the league. Every team is walking more guys. Every lineup is walking more often. But I think it's interesting that the Royals' left-handed starters, interesting in the sense that I don't know if it means anything or I don't know if there's a commonality, but the left-handed starters for the Royals in particular have really struggled with their command in a way that they haven't in their career. Cole Reagans' walk rate is up almost 3 walks it's up exactly 3 walks per 9 innings. Chris Bubich's walk rate is up a walk and a half per 9 innings. And Noah Cameron, who walked less than 3 guys per 9 last year, is at 3.5 walks per 9. And we saw last night how much he struggled to stay in the strike zone. So between command issues for 60% of the rotation and the issues, big picture, that the bullpen has had to be consistent, yes, I think we look at this Royals team different than the last couple of years where, and I've even been saying it as we've gone along here this first 41 games, that, look, this team is going to go as its starting pitching goes. That may still be true, but this is a team right now that is having to lean more on its offense than on its pitching, particularly its starting pitching of late. Now, again, a big picture trend for the Royals the last 2 seasons since their return to competitiveness following, the dismal end of the Dayton Moore years, whatever the hell 2023 was, is that the Royals have seen on the pitching side home runs tick up as the season has gone on because, again, ball jumps at Kauffman Stadium once it starts to warm up. If the home run rate goes up any higher or much higher for the Royals, they're going to have a real problem because they struggle keeping guys off the bases because of the walk rate. So that's something that is going to bear watching moving forward, that the Royals are going to have to keep in check. Broadly speaking, the pitching is going to have to get better. Mr. Jayhawk made the same point in YouTube live chat, saying most of the Royals pitchers can't throw strikes consistently right now. There have been too many walks, and you're absolutely right. I'm not going to sit here and diagnose what's wrong mechanically with guys like Reagans and Bubich who've seen their walk rates. And Bubich has gotten good results despite the elevated number of walks. We've seen that Reagans is still capable, even though he's getting too deep into counts, and he's still capable of getting swings and misses. That's the big difference between a guy like Reagan's and a guy like Cameron, where like last night, Cameron's in all those 3-2 counts. Reagan's will put you away with a 3-2 pitch. Noah Cameron, a lot less skilled at doing that, so it's a bigger problem when he spends the whole night in those 3-2 counts.
Do we know that Noah Cameron, was it last year he made his debut or the year before?
It was last year.
Do we know that last year isn't an oddity?
I don't think anybody would have expected him to post an ERA of 3. All the peripheral numbers were suggesting that he probably wasn't that good, but like he's your number 5 starter, and your number 5 starter is sometimes going to go through spells where they get touched up a little bit. The independent numbers, fielding independent numbers this year say that Cameron's been a little unlucky. He's got a 5.55 ERA through his first 7 starts. His fielding independent ERA is 4.32, so over a run lower. Suggests that he's been kind of hit unlucky so far. His home run numbers are about the same. His strikeout numbers actually ticked up this year. Walk rate is up, but not like huge in a huge way. But yes, I think if you were expecting a 2.99 ERA from Noah Cameron, you were probably going to wind up disappointed.
Yeah.
But they do need better work than they've gotten from him. Really, 4 of his last 5 starts haven't been good enough. Only 1 quality start in his last 5 appearances, and that was against the Angels, who, again, are not very good. So, yes, biggest problem for the Royals right now is their pitching. Biggest problem for Royals pitching is they have not been in the strike zone. Can that change? I mean, again, you're talking about guys who have an established track record of throwing more strikes than this. But one of them is injured. One of them is a second-year guy. And one of them has, it's in Chris Bubich, the track record is not that long. Like it's only 1 year as a starter last year where he was as good at throwing strikes as he has been. This walk rate for Bubich through his first 8 starts this year is much more in line with what he was doing back before Tommy John surgery, when he was taking the ball every day, but not a reliable member of the rotation. So it could just be a reversion that last year was the career year for Bubich and 2024 was the career year for Reagans, and those guys there's not a return to form there. There needs to be. Yeah. I don't see immediately a reason other than Reagans' injury why there can't be a return to better form. And like Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha, who we haven't talked about, have been largely excellent. I know Lugo had the dud on Thursday against the Guardians, but I think it posted an ERA in the low 3s. Wacha's been terrific. He was awesome on Saturday. So they need those lefties to bounce back. That's going to be, I think, because I think there are very real reasons to believe that this is a better offensive team, certainly than 2025, and maybe even a more balanced offensive team than 2024, because that group was so reliant on Witt and Pasquantino and Perez to drive everything. And I think this year's team is much less reliant on just 3 guys, even though Bobby Witt Jr. playing like an MVP right now. Best player in baseball, according to Fangraphs WAR, and best in the American League, according to Baseball Reference WAR.
He was moving on that inside the Parker the other day.
He certainly was.
Is that 4.14 seconds or something?
14 seconds around the bases.
Yeah.
14 seconds around the bases. A broader point here from Mr. Jayhawk, and I don't know that this might be one we need a full segment for, but interesting point, interesting contention here from Mr. Jayhawk in the live chat on YouTube, 580 Sports Talk, the YouTube channel. The core of this team has been together for 2 to 3 years, yet no improvement on the field like the 2015 Royals core. Well, when you consider the start of that group's coming together, it was probably 2011, because that was 21-year-old Hosmer, it was 22-year-old Moustakas, that was 21-year-old Sal, and Gordo was already in his prime. He was really good that year. That might have been Gordon's best offensive year, 2011. Certainly one of his best. But so you had that offensive core together in 2011, and by 2013, they had the winning season, and by 2014, they were pennant winners. By 2015, they were champions. And obviously, it wasn't just those guys. You had to build the roster around them. I mean, the 2021 Royals had Jeff Francis making 31 starts. And I love Jeff Francis. That's Rocky great Jeff Francis, one of my absolute favorite players of all time for emotional reasons. but 30-year-old Jeff Francis making 31 starts. That goes how it usually goes. By the time the Royals were ready to win, you had guys like Danny Duffy making everyday starts, and Yordano Ventura, the late Yordano Ventura, and Johnny Cueto down the stretch. So circumstances are a little different. That being said, it does feel like it's a little backwards. Like this group came together in 2024 and immediately went to the playoffs. So they set the bar really high for what it feels like they can achieve. It does feel like they've spun their wheels a little bit to date because they did not make the playoffs last year and they have gotten off to a slow start this year. I understand that feeling, but I also think that a couple of things that have happened. Number one, just 60% of the starting pitching rotation, really 40%, Cameron and Reagan's, have not been good enough. The bullpen has not found traction, and the schedule's been harder on this version of the team through 41 games than it has either of the last two seasons. And I think that it is fair probably to point out that getting to beat up on the dregs of the American League, the dregs of baseball the last 2 years gave the Royals some early season confidence. I do think intangibly that that matters, but I also think that's a big part of the reason why they were able to put up such sparkling records through early May was that they were getting to kick sand in the face of terrible White Sox teams and teams in the American League that were not very good and good interleague matchups. Like last year, again, it was the Royals looked like they were headed to hell, and then they got to play the Rockies and they got hot. Like, I don't think that was a coincidence. So long haul, you'd like to think that maybe an easier schedule in the final 141 games potentially could be a help. But yes, the biggest concern moving forward, the thing that is the sticky wicket right now for the Royals is the pitching staff and the walks. More specifically, is something they have really struggled with. It's not something they struggled with as a staff the last 2 years, but this is a very different looking staff. So that's got to change. That's the number one thing you look at. And gosh, if they get back into the strike zone and get back to some of that consistency in the starting pitching rotation, if Reagan's can really return to form once he gets healthy, whenever that is, then I think there's a lot more winning baseball ahead of the Royals, and certainly not willing to rule them out in a division where nobody looks good enough to run away with it. We'll take a break here on 580 Sports Talk. Come back with What Is Wrong With You here on 580 WIBW. It is time for What Is Wrong With You on 580 Sports Talk. We got a brand new week of stories to get underway today. I will go first, going to Orange City, Florida, where police are investigating after a burglary at University High School. Somebody broke in, stole hot dogs and ice cream. Two identified white males were seen jumping the fence near the gym and Building 4 around 1:07 a.m. After entering through an unlocked door. Well, there's your first problem.
They didn't break and enter.
Well, they entered. They didn't break, but they entered.
Yeah.
The suspects apparently messed with ESE bicycles and equipment before going into a classroom and taking around $50 worth of lanyards. Yeah, these are definitely kids. I was a big lanyard guy when I was a teen and in college. I don't think I've used a lanyard since.
Yep.
The suspects then entered us. Well, that's not true. We are in a business where we wear lanyards a lot for like credentials. But lanyards
not like
for your keys,
yeah, no,
your ID.
That's a high school, college thing.
Absolutely. The suspects then entered a second classroom and stole miscellaneous food items, including approximately 100 hot dogs and ice cream, valued at approximately $60. So we can assume it wasn't like Bluebell or like good ice cream. Suspects took an Allen wrench set from a desk in the hallway before leaving campus 23 minutes later. Anyone with information regarding the suspect's identities urged to contact the Orange City Police Department. The police chief said, hot dogs, Armour hot dogs. What kind of kid steals Armour hot dogs? Tall kids, skinny kids, kids who climb on rocks, fat kids, skinny kids.
Is that from
even
something?
Kids with chicken pox love hot dogs. Armour hot dogs.
I've never heard of Armour hot dogs.
The dogs kids love to bite. You know, doesn't not ringing a bell?
No.
The Armour hot dog jingle. Yeah, they had to change the words. You couldn't really do tough kids, sissy kids, like as you got on a little further in, you know.
Oh,
yeah, that's a very 1960s.
Very dated.
Yeah, pretty dated jingle. Yeah, they changed it to tall kids, small kids. I think I might have gotten it backwards. Anyway, there's a great Simpsons bit where Grandma and Grandpa Simpson make Lisa and Bart sing the song. And Lisa goes, doesn't this family know any songs that aren't commercial jingles? And then they all start singing the song from the Chicken Tonight commercials. Speaking of another dated reference that it's too young for you. Anyway, yeah, what kind of kid steals Armour hot dogs and ice cream? Hot dogs and ice cream from a high school and an Allen wrench and lanyards. What a strange burglary. All right, your story, Spencer, please.
Yeah, we're going back to Florida. A Florida man has been arrested for DWI, not driving while intoxicated, droning while intoxicated. Police say Richard Carpenter, a 34-year-old contractor, was operating a drone around 12:20 in the morning Monday when he recklessly buzzed victim's John Murray's vehicle, which was parked near Carpenter Street, Carpenter St. Petersburg apartment complex. The small unmanned aerial system flew back and forth past the open driver's side window of Murray's Infiniti sedan. Police say who added the drone's blade spin at a high rate of speed and could cause significant injury if it were to strike the was to have stricken the victim, but it didn't. Asked what he was doing, Carpenter told police he thought the victim was following him since he was observed the victim's vehicle in many different locations. It turns out he works as a delivery driver. When questioning Carpenter, an officer reported that he suspected he smelled of alcohol and displayed signs of impairment like slurred speech and glassy eyes. Reportedly admitted to drinking before his late night shenanigans. After the drone flights, Carpenter allegedly approached Murray's car and reached into the vehicle and grabbed the victim's phone, which struck Murray near the top of near the left eye. For breaching the threshold of the window, Carpenter was charged with burglary with assault or battery. He was released today, or I guess this was last week. He was released in the afternoon, so 12 hours later, after posting $150,500 bond on felony or misdemeanor counts. His rap sheet also includes convictions for aggravated assault, battery, assault on a law enforcement officer, violating probation, and improper exhibition of a firearm.
So he's not a dude. It's just a happy-go-lucky drone operator who got a little bit lit. Like, he really doesn't seem like a real nice guy.
Yeah.
And
Drunkenly flying his drone. That's a new one.
Don't drone drunk. Don't drink and drone.
I guess. That's a new one.
So, RUI, remote controlling under the influence of Jeffrey and Vance in the live chat on YouTube. All right. Who wins it? I'm going to go with the kids in the rant.
Yeah.
We're assuming they're juvenile males. I think the story maybe even says juvenile. I want to double check that. Just unidentified white males. Going to assume. I'm assuming juveniles because who steals lanyards, ice cream, hot dogs, and an Allen wrench?
Sounds like 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old kids.
Yeah, sounds like kids being kids. Like definitely, like you could tell the high priority thing they got away with was the hot dogs and the ice cream.
Yeah.
And I bet they had themselves a night. Maybe fired up a Foreman grill. Anywho, yeah, what kind of kid steals Armor hot dogs? That's going to be I actually don't know if they were Armor hot. I don't even know where you get Armor hot dogs anymore.
Yeah,
like I Googled them.
They might have been Oscar Mayer wiener.
They might have been Oscar Mayer. Yeah, everybody knows that jingle. Fewer people know the Armor hot dog.
Yes.
Jingle.
If you would have given me that jingle, I would.
You would have sung along?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to remember that for next time. But there will be a next time for that story. It's moving on what is wrong with you. When we come back, there's a mathematical ranking that says the Chiefs have a top 5 roster in the NFL. There's a less scientific ranking that says they don't even have a top 10 roster in the NFL. So who's right? We'll throw it around a little bit next on 580 Sports Talk. .445 on 580 Sports Talk. We're getting to the Chiefs a little bit. I wanted to answer this from the text line, 785-272-9429. Question is, fences moved in at the K. Opposing teams are loving it way more than the home team. Is that an issue? I would dispute the premise of the question. The Royals are 13-10 at home, outscoring their opponents by 19 runs and out-OPSing them by about 100 points. Royals have a 785 OPS at home with 26 home runs, and Royals opponents so far this year have, I had it and the page jumped on me here. Royals opponents this year have a 686 OPS at Kauffman Stadium and have hit just 20 home runs. So Royals are out homering, outscoring, outperforming their opponents offensively. So I do not think that moving the fences in has been anything that has negatively impacted the Royals. I wish they'd moved him in far enough to catch Carter Jensen's sac fly last night. I cannot believe that ball didn't leave the park. Just hit it too high. One of those. Is that Major League One? Is it the original Major League or the Major League Two where the fan goes, oh, too high. And it's like 30 rows. And we mean too high. Yeah, too high for real that time from Carter Jensen. Anyhow, Austin Mock of The Athletic, he's their numbers guy, so to speak, and he filled out a projection model, or he has a projection model that ranks the roster quality in the NFL. And he has the Chiefs 4th out of 32 teams following the draft. Now, the caveat here with Mock's ranking is that quarterback is very heavily weighted in this consideration, that different positions are given different weight when ranking a roster, and quarterback is given the most weight because it's the most important position. And that's how you have the Chiefs 4th, behind only the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Bills. And Mock writes in his piece that he feels like his power rankings are probably overrating the Bills and the Chiefs a little bit, but that they get a boost because of who their quarterbacks are. In contrast, Eric Edholm over at NFL.com today released his top 10 most complete NFL rosters with a weighted grade, a weighted general grade, and he does not have the Chiefs in the top 10. And he even notes, even though the Chiefs are coming out their worst season more than decade, still split yards to see them miss the cut. And in his top 10, he also has the Rams and the Seahawks 1 and 2. Then the Eagles, Ravens, and Bills at 5. Lions, Broncos, 49ers, Texans, and Patriots rounding out the top 10. Whereas Mock has the Patriots 15th in his projections. His top 10, Rams, Seahawks, Bills, Chiefs, Eagles, Chargers, Broncos, Ravens, Packers, and Jaguars. So I think I can start there. 3 teams in the AFC West in the top 7 in that ranking. Are we back in the we've kind of slipped there 2 years ago without warning, but there were a couple of years there where it felt like every year we were going into it, especially after the Russell Wilson trade, where it felt like, here it comes, best division in football. And then after the Sean Payton hiring, best division in football. And it didn't quite pan out that way for a couple years. But now, is it the best division in football?
I'd be interested to see, because Bo Nix, I'm a little concerned about him. We haven't brought this up a lot on the show, but he just had another ankle surgery.
He did have another ankle procedure.
I think he's had, on one ankle, I think he's had like 5 or 6 procedures in his entire life, and that's kind of scary.
Sean Payton did speak on this, and he mentioned it got brought up during the offseason. He's like, he's had a lot of work done on his ankles before, and Nix wasn't happy that got out. Yeah, and the word is officially, and Payton spoke even over the weekend out in Denver and said that he expects Nix will be full speed by the time training camp begins, and that he'll participate in mini camp on a limited basis. But that is certainly the thing to watch with the Broncos. Certainly the thing to watch. You've got the best team and the second best team in the NFL, and this was what it was at the end of last year. Like, the Rams and the Seahawks were the 2 best teams in the NFL. And the 49ers had a lot of injuries. They're still generally regarded as a top 10 or adjacent roster. They used to have the Cardinals, who just stink. It's kind of a same thought behind the AFC West, where you got 3 teams that are playoff caliber that would regard missing the playoffs as a disappointment. And then you have the Raiders, who have quite a long way to go. But I do think the Chiefs are closer to, I wouldn't put them in the top 5, but I also wouldn't leave them out of the top 10. And Mahomes is the difference. Like, Mahomes is the separating factor. And while this is a unprecedented offseason that the Chiefs go into, where, all right, well, when is Mahomes going to play? What is it going to look like when he plays? Like, yeah, we don't know. There's uncertainty around Mahomes in a way that there really hasn't been since his rookie year or his second year when he was made the starter for full time. And we're like, okay, well, this has looked really good in short bursts. What's it going to look like for a full season? Oh, it looks unbelievable. It looks record setting. It looks like the MVP. Sweet. Now that's what you expect.
Yeah.
With 15. But now the expectation is a bit more of a question mark. But I have a hard time. And I'm sure we're going to keep coming back to this. It is May 11th. We're not even OTAs yet. But we'll keep coming back to this point, I'm sure, as we get further and further down the road and closer to training camp and previewing the season and the week 1 kickoff. I got a hard time believing Patrick Mahomes isn't going to look like Patrick Mahomes. I really do. And if you think Mahomes can come back and it's status quo, Patrick Mahomes only in an offense with a real running game for the first time in Mahomes' career, I think that's pretty plainly a top 10 roster and maybe even closer to top 5 than I'm giving it credit for. I wouldn't have him top 5. I would go Rams, Seahawks 1, 2. I'd probably still have the Eagles 3rd.
Yeah.
I'd go Bills after that. I'd go Ravens 5. Again, it's hard for me. Like, do I like the Chargers and Broncos at other positions a lot more than I like the Chiefs at other positions? Yeah. Like, I like the Broncos offensive line quite a bit. I like their edge group, their pass rush, their defensive line. I like it quite a bit better than I like the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes versus Bo Nix is not even close. It's not a discussion worth having with a sane person.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to rank the Chiefs behind those teams because of the quarterback situation.
And I think too, Mahomes' numbers this year might not look necessarily Mahomes-esque because the pressure might be taken off him with the running game.
Yeah, and that allows him.
His numbers are inflated because the running game's been crap, right? And if all goes to plan, you're going to have 1,000-yard rusher this year, or close to it.
Yeah,
or over it.
The impact it will have, the impact it could have on the offense. I almost broke there. What? I almost had one of those. The impact that a functional running game will have on this offense, I really believe, is going to be incredible. I think it's going to be an incredibly positive impact. We'll take a break, come back. We'll wrap up this hour of 580 Sports Talk. Couple more comments I want to get to from the listeners. We had a good back and forth today so far in the YouTube live chat, 580 Sports Talk, and on the text line, 9429. Appreciate the interaction always. Even if I might be disagreeing with you, I appreciate it. From the 785, Dan, you said last week you thought Patrick Mahomes would be good for another 10 years. Name one Chiefs quarterback who's played 19 years. I don't explicitly remember saying that, though I probably said something similar to that. I say a lot of things. I say things for 15 hours a week. Sometimes I forget. So that doesn't mean I didn't say it. I don't quite remember the context in which I was saying that, but I can name you a lot of quarterbacks who weren't Chiefs who were pretty good for 19 or adjacent years.
Thomas Brady.
Yeah, the GOAT, the guy Mahomes is chasing, the guy Mahomes is compared to. And don't think for a second that Mahomes isn't keenly aware of some of his peers and how they played effectively, even if not great, effectively into their 40s. Also, Steve DeBerg, I think, played 19 years. And he played for the Chiefs. How many years Steve DeBerg played? 18. Darn it. You got me, Texter. I really thought Steve DeBerg had played 19 years. I was 1 year off. I thought I had you there. You got me today. Texter from the 785. Also, Mark H. in the YouTube chat asking the important question about our What Is Wrong With You winner today, the hot dog thief. Do you think they got the buns? Because I can't do a hot dog not on a bun. That's not natural to me. Like I can't do it on like a piece of bread. It doesn't work for me.
I just eat a hot dog by itself.
Headlines coming up, along with some more Royals thoughts and Spencer's trip to Norman on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 3, final hour of this Monday here on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, our Facebook page, WIBW News. Whether you're rocking with the audio or the video, whether you're hearing us live or you're catching us on the podcast or video archive, thanks for making us a part of your sports media diet. We appreciate you being along here on 580 Sports Talk. One more hour to spend together today. No Royals baseball tonight. Boys in Blue will be back at it tomorrow in Chicago against the White Sox. Stay out of the Taka Murakami. This is a series that Royals win. This year, splitting a 4-gamer at the K earlier this year. The I-70 series in St. Louis against the Cardinals, who have played some good ball late. One of course, 5 teams in the National League Central have winning records. They're 23-17. Cardinals are so annoying. This is supposed to be a rebuild year for them. And honestly, it probably still is. Like, Mike McGreevy's not going to pitch to an ERA in the low 2s all year. Let's be real honest about what that is. But they're finally getting the Jordan Walker breakout. And J.J. Weatherholt's every bit as good as I thought he was going to be when I picked him to win the NL Rookie of the Year. Apparently also a terrific defender. Like, he's one of the most valuable players in the National League with his defense over there at second base. Former West Virginia Mountaineer.
West Virginia Mountaineer.
I was wondering if you were going to get that. Anyhow, that's the weekend. The Royals meet the Cardinals for the first time. So it's a big road trip. And again, any 6-game road trip, big picture, 500, not too bad. But if the Royals want to keep making up some ground and playing showing that they can be a true contender, they got to go get a couple of these series.
I'm glad that this Cardinal series isn't like they did. It was last year, the year before. They did like a 2-gamers.
Yeah, they did like a 2-game series. It was like Saturday, Sunday, so they were off on Friday.
Or no, I think it was Friday, Saturday, and they were off on Sunday.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, they were off Sunday.
So weird.
Yeah, I hated it. I couldn't understand for the life of me what that was all about. Now, they do have a weird schedule. Everybody's got a weird schedule, but there is a weird portion of this year's Royal schedule. I'm trying to pull it up so I can remember what it is, where they've got like a funky off day that
I think it has something to do with the World Cup.
No, it's early July.
Oh.
It's early July where they have a Friday off. And they play a wraparound 4th, 5th, 6th series against Philadelphia Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and are off Friday.
Okay. Yeah.
It's super weird. Maybe it does. We are, I believe, 31 days out of the World Cup. We're about a month out. Everybody's mad about ticket prices, and everybody's mad about transit prices, trying to get to all the venues. It's outrageously high. The head of FIFA is like, well, yeah, it costs $300 to go to a game, doesn't it? Like, no, not always.
Here's the one that got changed. They were supposed to play a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series with the Cardinals at home the 19th, 20th, and 21st.
Yes, they're off the 20th.
On a Saturday,
I missed
they
that,
are off for a World Cup game at Arrowhead. Games.
There it is. So, yeah, they are off the 20th. They'll play Thursday, Friday, have a day off, and then a Sunday. Yeah, that does look funny. A little more explicable, at least, with the location, with the location issues. Anyhow, we'll get more into the Royals. Have some final thoughts on a good week that could have been a great week for the Kansas City Royals. Spencer missed a lot of it because he was making a donation to the University of Oklahoma's NIL fund. And
I didn't get so
you or somebody who looked a lot like you was up on stage slamming beers with Creed Humphrey.
Yeah. One quick thing though, Norman, Oklahoma broadcast city is within the Royals broadcast.
Uh-huh.
So
yeah, you're blacked out.
No, I was on the hotel TV and I was watching the game.
You could watch it on TV. Oh,
Yeah.
I got you. I thought you were talking, you got blacked out on MLB TV out there, which you would.
I wasn't on MLB TV. I just happened to turn on the TV. I was checking through the channels and I was like, oh, they got Royals.tv.
Yeah.
And they came back and won that game. That was weird.
That was the Friday night. Yeah. That was a thrilling Friday night game. So anyway, we got all that coming up this hour, plus your text 785-272-9429 and your comments in the YouTube chat, 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. And if you think that, I don't have a take, I don't have like a question, I'm just listening to the show, enjoying the show, but I don't need to be in the YouTube chat because I don't really have a take, I don't really have a question, that's fine. That's fine. The YouTube chat is for takes and is for questions and is for comments, but is also for just hanging out with your online friends who also like the show. So hop on in. It's a community. It's a good time. People are talking about what they put on hot dogs. What do you put on a hot dog, Spencer?
Ketchup.
Just ketchup.
A little mustard sometimes.
Little mustard
feeling
sometimes.
it.
Okay.
And then, depending on the occasion, chili dogs.
Who doesn't love a chili dog?
Not a normal thing, but like, hey, if there's a chili dog, maybe I'll have it. Sometimes chili on a hot dog works.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the chili dog. Oh, I just threw the chat on the screen. I didn't mean to do that.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Learning new things every day.
I hit a wrong button. Yeah, it's not really super readable there with our graphics, but I had the chat up on the full live chat up on the screen. Now that I know I can do that, maybe we do that a little bit later on. Anyway, maybe we make use of that feature and learning something new every day with our video streaming capabilities. Anyhow. Mustard and chopped or grilled onions for me. If you got grilled, I love that. If not, chopped will do. Ketchup every now and again, depends. I gotta be feeling that, but mustard and onion all hot dog.
I'm a big ketchup guy. I think I've stated this on the show. When I was a kid, went to the boardwalk on the beach, and they had a shirt that said, "I put ketchup on my ketchup," and it was in my closet by the end of the day.
You and Patrick Mahomes. Also, if you put mayonnaise on a hot dog, I'm calling the police.
Disgusting.
I'm gonna call the police on you.
Mayonnaise only fits in a certain small number of things, and that's it.
I'm not a mayo hater like our pal Brendan.
Yes.
But mayo on hot dog, I am. I'm calling the nearest authorities. Anyway, let's get to some 580 Sports Talk headlines, shall we? Let's begin today with the American League Player of the Week. You know him, you love him, Bobby Witt Jr., his third American League Player of the Week award. He was 11 for 27 in the homestand. That's a 407 average, hit 3 home runs, including the electrifying inside the park home run in the first inning of Saturday night's win. Drove in 4 on the week, played his typical outstanding defense. Bobby Witt is your American League Player of the Week. Again, baseball is not an impose your will kind of game, and it is frequently not a best player takes over kind of game. It's just the circumstances of baseball don't always allow that to happen for your best player to take the most important at bat or make the most important swing of the game. Sometimes it's Michael Massey, like it was for the Royals to break it open on Saturday. But when you got a homestand and you absolutely have to come out of the homestand with a winning record and your best guy hits 400 and hits 3 home runs and ignites Saturday's win and plays the defense that Bobby Witt Jr. played throughout the week, that's pretty special. That's how you know you've got an MVP caliber player. So Bobby Witt Jr. is the American League Player of the Week. Christopher Sanchez, for the record, the National League Player of the Week, just to complete the circle there. But big week for Bobby. He's the most valuable player in baseball so far this year per Fangraphs wins above replacement, and tied for most valuable with Los Angeles Dodger outfielder Andy Pages, according to Baseball Reference's wins above replacement calculation. Why are they different? Because they are. Here's the simple explanation. Fangraphs WAR is what should have happened. Baseball Reference WAR is what did. Like what, and by what should have happened, it's like that takes into account like your, park effect, quality of contact. Baseball Reference WAR is just, here are the stats.
Yeah.
Here's what did happen. Kind of like Baseball Reference WAR more for me. And you guys know how much I like to get into the weeds. I like the simplicity of this is what happened and this is the WAR calculation. Anyway, another topic for another day. Spencer, give us some college baseball for your first headline, please.
Yeah, before we do that, though, it's nice that Bobby Witt gets to sulk in it for a day, right? Like he gets usually like you get that and you got to play on a Monday, right? He comes out Monday afternoon, you celebrate it for a couple of hours and you got to get right back to it. He didn't have that pressure today. He's got the day off. It's pretty nice.
That's true.
College baseball, not a great day, not a great weekend in Lawrence. As KU baseball was swept by West Virginia, they still hold the top spot in the Big 12. They've dropped to 14th in the Division I baseball poll and 16th in the Baseball America poll. They're 20-7 in the Big 12. They still lead West Virginia by a game. They finished at BYU while West Virginia has TCU at home. K-State continues to not fare well. They did get one this weekend, though. They dropped 2 out of 3 to Cincinnati, winning on Saturday to salvage senior day.
Sunday,
excuse me. They need one win at UCF to clinch the spot in the conference tournament. They own the tiebreaker over 13th place Arizona, and they're currently in 11th place. So
right. Arizona is 19 losses. K-State is 17. So, yeah, just one win for K-State, all they need to make sure that they do make next week's conference tournament. Rough week for Kansas. In addition to the sweep by West Virginia, they also lost, I think, on a walk-off to Creighton midweek. Yeah. So that 0-4 probably scratches any thought that KU could be a national top 8 seed and host a super regional at Hoagland Ballpark. But hosting a regional still very much in play. I think I saw where it's either 7 or 8 of the last 10 years, multiple Big 12 teams have hosted regionals. West Virginia is absolutely hosting a regional, and now they are in the super regional host conversation with their performance against Kansas. But KU still has everything they want in front of them. Want to host a regional, want to win the Big 12, go win 2 out of 3 at BYU. Man, BYU's not been a particularly great home team this year. They're a middling team, 500 in the Big 12. Go take 2, go take all 3, and then you don't have to worry about, you don't have to sweat what West Virginia does. So that is the news from college baseball. Real quick addendum, college softball related. We know where the KU softball team is going. They are headed to the Norman Regional. Ruh-roh. That means they got to play Oklahoma. But yes.
Love's Field. Nice field. Yes. I drove by on Saturday.
Kansas is the number 8 seed in the regional. That means they'll take on the number 1 seed, Oklahoma. Their first round game will be against Michigan on Friday. Softball will be. And one other baseball note from the Big 12 that just came across the wire. James Guyette for K-State, pitcher of the week in the Big 12 Conference. We'll stay in college basketball or college sports for my next headline. The Dennis Parker Jr. signing official. Kansas adds the former Radford and North Carolina State guard to their roster. Here's what Coach Bill Self had to say in the press release. Quote, at Radford, Dennis proved that he was one of the better scorers in the country. He's a more than capable shooter with range. He's got great size, and anybody that can get 53 in a Division I game certainly has potential to get hot and carry a team in stretches. We're very excited to add him to the mix. KU just hasn't had a guy who can come off the bench and get hot and get some buckets in a short amount of time. Probably not since Remy Martin. And what did the team with Remy Martin on it do? So I'm not saying Dennis Parker, like it's not the same. Like Remy Martin was Pac-12 Player of the Year. It's not quite the same, but it is an element that I think Kansas's teams have missed, the ability for somebody to come off the bench and go score. Like there's a difference between this guy can play, this guy can, give your starters a breather and hold the fort for 5 to 10 minutes. And this guy is going to go out and get some buckets. And those guys are all over the Big 12 conference, and Kansas hasn't had one of those guys. And in Dennis Parker, now, in theory, at least, they do. Got some NFL scheduling news next, Spencer.
Yeah, should I just bunch the NFL news all together?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do all the NFL stuff.
Right.
Go ahead, empty the chamber.
Scheduling news, the official schedules, they will all be released Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, but every day this week we're going to get some because all the networks are doing their little previews for the fall. So we learned today on NBC that the first Sunday night football game of the year will be Cowboys Giants, Dak Prescott versus Jackson Dart. Also, NFC is staying relevant because the Cowboys Thanksgiving game will be at 3:30 on Fox, and it'll be against the Eagles. And that's the NFL scheduling we have for now, but we'll definitely be talking about more tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. And then on Friday, we'll break down the whole Chiefs schedule.
So quick interruption here. I mentioned this with Matt Verderame, who is our NFL insider. We talk to every Monday in the 3:00 hour. Talk to Matt about this. Cowboys Giants on Sunday Night Football. Feels like every year we get Cowboys Giants on Sunday Night Football. And every year I go, oh God, it's Cowboys Giants on Sunday Night Football. I'm going to find something else to do. I don't need this in my life. I'm actually like a little intrigued by the Giants this year. Like last year, I thought like they had playoff upside, but I forgot one, Brian Daboll's a moron and there is no number two. But like, still think that defense is frisky, even with the trade of Dexter Lawrence. Jackson Dart, year 2, and a coach who's an adult.
Yeah.
With John Harbaugh. Like,
that is true.
I don't think I'm as high on the Giants as Matt Verderame is. Matt thinks they can win that division. I don't know that I'm ready to go there yet, but I am much more intrigued by the Giants than I have been in recent years. And the Cowboys, I'll say this for the Cowboys. They're not a boring watch because they can go score points. They can give some up. Can
they stay healthy?
Their defense has gotten better. Well, I guess this is week 1, right?
Yeah.
So this is going to be like the healthiest that they are. And that could actually be kind of a fun opening week Sunday night game. And I always like it when you get like a rivalry on Thanksgiving. Like you don't always get it. Sometimes you get like the Lions play like the Colts, or the Cowboys play like the Seahawks. And like, okay, there's no history there, but it is kind of fun to get a marquee like rivalry on Thanksgiving. So yeah, a couple of cool scheduling notes. What are the other?
I do know I'm going to be eating dinner during this game, so I'm happy about it.
That's true. That's the middle game.
I'm happy
of the 3 that we get on Thanksgiving now. And yeah, I usually do the that's usually when we have dinner too. No, I totally understand. Anyway, what are the other NFL notes?
Former Chief alert going to the Bills. Mike Dana, we said last week he was visiting. Maybe we said this, or if not, it was reported late last week that he was going to visit with the Bills. He has signed a contract with the Bills. They view him, according to Adam Schefter, as an outside linebacker. He signed with the Bills, and former Browns tight end David Njoku has signed to the Chargers.
So Njoku's still got some good football left. It's very interesting that the Chargers have philosophically gone from like Jim Harbaugh tight ends, which are like offensive linemen who can occasionally catch a pass, to more multidimensional tight ends with Mike McDaniel as the new offensive coordinator. There's definitely been a philosophical switch there that you can attribute to the new OC, and adding Njoku to that tight end mix, like more of him and less of guys like Will Dissly, who like Will Dissly's still a free agent. I, honest to God, think the Chiefs should kick the tires. If they could get him on a veteran minimum, I think he's their 3rd best tight end. And he could play him. He'll block his tail. He's a better blocker than Noah Gray. Noah Gray tries really hard. Travis Kelce's never going to take a play off, but the Chiefs don't have a great blocking tight end. Will Dissly would fill that role, and he's not a half bad pass catcher either. Yeah. I like that option better. I like trying to see if there's anything there with Jared Wiley. I think we've seen there's nothing there with Jared Wiley. Yeah. As far as Mike Dana goes, feels like every team, because the NFL is a copycat league, every team feels like, hey, let's just get as many guys as we can who it says on their business card they can rush the passer. Like, we got to get as many guys as possible who that's their job description, and we'll just try and build a pass rush, because the Bills don't have an elite pass rusher. The Chiefs don't have an elite pass rusher. But did the Seahawks have an elite pass rusher? No, they just had a bunch of like really good guys who are better generally than Mike Dana is at this point in his career. But I think that's the Bills trying to, again, you throw bodies at the problem of pass rush anymore, more so than maybe you go spend big on. I mean, if you have the elite guy, great. It's wonderful to have Max Crosby or Nick Bosa or Trey Hendrickson, or you have that guy, awesome. But if you don't, you better have like 7 or 8 guys, you try and win with fresh legs in the pass rush game. And the Bills have tried to construct that this offseason. I don't know how successful it's going to be because I don't love their mix, but it's very clear that is what they have tried to do. All right, let's go on and get to the playoff roundup, shall we?
Technical difficulties.
Oh,
Here we
dear.
go.
Oh,
we
dear.
got it.
All right, we got it. There we go.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
Playoff roundup time in the NBA. We have one series that's already complete in the conference semifinals. The New York Knicks sweep their way into the Eastern Conference Finals. They hammered the Philadelphia 76ers 144-114. They shot 57% from three. They made 12 of their first 13 from deep, hit on 25 out of 44 threes. You turn basketball into a math problem when you shoot threes that well. Deuce McBride, 25 to lead the Knicks. They can now cool their heels for a bit. Hope OG Anunoby can get healthy for those conference finals. Out west, Minnesota defeated San Antonio 114-109 in Game 4 of that series in Minnesota to even that series at 2. The big story, Victor Wembanyama ejected in the second quarter for a flagrant 2 foul, an elbow to the face of Wolves big man Naz Reid earned Wembanyama the suspension. And I'll be honest, the first time I saw the replay, I wasn't watching the game live, but I saw the replay. And the first replay I saw, like, it looked incidental. It looked like, oh, well, this happened because the guy throwing the elbow is 7'4". And, like, if the guy throwing this elbow is even just, like, normal freakish height, like 7 foot, he probably catches Reid in the chest, and it's not that big a deal. He's obviously being grabbed from behind by the one Wolves defender, Jaden McDaniels, and Reid is like up in the cylinder, so to speak, where generally speaking, you are afforded a little bit of leeway to try and clear some room. Yeah, Wemby wasn't clearing room, man. He drilled Reid. You watch it in full speed, you go, oh yeah, that's a flagrant. There's no way that that ends without an ejection. There will be no further penalty for Wembanyama. He'll play in Game 5. No suspension forthcoming. But hard to argue that his momentary loss of cool cost his team the game. And instead of a 3-1 series lead going back home, that series is tied at 2 and up for grabs. Anthony Edwards scored 36 points in the win for Minnesota. I'm glad Wembanyama wasn't suspended. After the game, the coach of the Spurs, Mitch Johnson, did a little victim blaming. Basically said, look, Wembanyama gets fouled and hacked and pushed and poked and prodded. And he does, because that's how the Wolves play. They play MMA defense. And ever since Chris Finch cried about his team getting fouls called on them after Game 1 of the Denver series, they've just decided not to call any fouls on the Timberwolves anymore. So, lesson learned, do your crying in the post-game press conference. Chris Finch is one of the league's biggest crybabies as a coach, and that has seemed to work. So why would he stop? And why would the Wolves stop playing UFC defense if they're not going to get called for it? Wembanyama took matters into his own hands, and he shouldn't have. But I'm just saying, I kind of understand. This is the problem. The problem that the Spurs have there is the same problem the Nuggets had in their series when at the end of Game 4, it was Jokic who went to go confront Nikola Jokic went to go confront Jaden McDaniels, and Jokic got into it in Game 6 with somebody else. Like, against those teams, you need a goon. Like, those teams got a bunch of goons on them. The Wolves and the Thunder, they're full of goons. Who's the goon for the Spurs? Somebody need to go out and be a goon and throw the elbow and get ejected so that Wemby didn't have to. That's the problem. Like, you got to have somebody else do your wet work. If you're the best player, if you're the guy that cannot be replaced, which Wemby is for the Spurs, somebody else got to go do your wet work.
This is
Luke
why
Cornette, Julian Champagny, somebody's got to go throw that elbow, because the elbow needed throwing. It's just Wembanyama didn't need to be the guy to throw it.
This is why I love hockey a little bit more than I love basketball.
Sure.
Because these things can be settled.
And every team's got a goon, and we know who they are. We know them by name, and that's why they have a job.
Yeah. Although some are trying to not be the goon status anymore. And I don't know how that'll work out for him. Tom Wilson.
Tonight, Game 4 between Detroit and Cleveland. In Cleveland, Pistons lead 2-1. Cleveland won Game 3. The Thunder can put the Lakers out of their misery. OKC up in that series 3-0. Game 4 in L.A. Last night in the NHL, Montreal behind a pair of goals for Colorado Avalanche great Alex Newhook routed the Buffalo Sabres 6-2. Les Habitants take a 2-1 series lead. That is a terrible French accent, and I apologize, but it is Montreal up 2-1 on the Sabres. In the Western Conference semis, Anaheim tied up their series with Vegas at 2 apiece with a 4-3 home win in Anaheim. There's only one game tonight because one of the Eastern Conference semifinals is already over. Carolina becoming the first team since the 1985 Oilers to sweep consecutive rounds to open the playoffs after they dispatched the Flyers in 4 games. Colorado will not be the second team. They lost Game 3 in Minnesota. Didn't play well at all. Lost 5-1. Master of panic, Jared Bednar looks like he's going to make a goaltender change tonight. That does not make me feel good as an Avalanche fan. Game 4 in Minnesota between the Avs and the Wild. It's a fun fact if the game goes one way tonight. It's a not so fun fact if it goes the other way. 5 times in Colorado Avalanche star Nathan MacKinnon's playoff career, the Avalanche have had a 3-1 series lead, which they would have if they win tonight. 5 times they've had a 3-1 series lead. They have won every one of those series. 5 times in Nathan MacKinnon's playoff career, they have been in a series that is tied at 2, which it would be if Minnesota wins tonight on home ice. Would you like to guess what the Avalanche record is in those 2-2 series with MacKinnon on the team? 0-5.
I was going to say if they won a game.
0-5. They've never won a series that was tied at 2 apiece after 4 games. So that's why I'm nervous. Anyhow, that's your playoff roundup. We'll take a break. When we come back, Spencer had a fun time in Norman over the weekend. He wants to tell you about it next. .535 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer hanging out with you. We'll have some final Royals thoughts before we get out of here in just a little bit. I have a big picture question I want to ask you, kind of like a hypothetical, theoretical type question I want to get to at the end of this. But Spencer, you went and saw the Luke Combs concert at Memorial Stadium in Norman over the weekend.
Yes, first time to Norman.
Mm-hmm. Where did you finish in the Luke Combs lookalike contest?
Probably down the list this time.
Really?
Because I didn't wear the black PFG shirt from Columbia. I decided to not do that because the other times I've been to a Luke Combs concert, this is my fourth concert I went to of his, by the way.
Fourth time you've seen it? Was this the biggest venue you've seen him at, or did you see him?
It's hard to tell because, I'd say the biggest venue. Yeah.
Have they all been stadium shows? Or
3 stadium shows. One was in an arena.
Okay. So you didn't dress the part. Does Luke Combs have the highest percentage among country music artists of fans who look like him?
Probably. I would say, yeah. I mean, because he's just your normal looking guy.
He is.
Right?
He's just a very normal looking guy. And that's not a knock at all, right? That's just, he's a man of the people.
Yeah.
That's his appeal, right? He's a man of the people.
Yeah. He just likes fishing. So he wears his fishing shirt.
Sure.
And he wears his hat.
No pretense.
And he shotguns his beers.
No pretense. No trying to be somebody he's not. Anyhow, I was given a hard time. I said, you finish no worse. You're getting on the podium. Yeah. Any Luke Combs lookalike contest anywhere, you're getting on the podium at least.
I've told you
when
I was in Pittsburgh.
Confused with him.
Yeah. Well, a radio host was like, whoa, you actually look, let's take a picture. So I was on there like Instagram in 2023.
So you and Olivia enjoyed the Norman area, get a good meal, everything like that?
Well, yeah. So when we first we got there on Friday afternoon, later afternoon, had dinner at I guess it's a OKC regional chain, because I actually had it before, but I had takeout of it. Of the Garage.
Okay.
The burger and beers play. I have it all around the OKC area, because when I was covering Washburn women's hoops, I got it in Edmond, but I just ordered takeout because I was super tired. And different location, but very impressive, very nice. Literally, it looks like you're in a garage.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty fun there. Then we went and walked around the town for a bit, little town strip. Found a in front of, let me pull up the thing here. In front of one of the now restaurants, there's a sign that says the inception of Oklahoma football at this location in September of 1895.
Mm-hmm.
At present day 121 East Main Street once stood a barber shop in which this guy Bud Rinzinger and Jack Hartz said that they were going to create a football team for the University of Oklahoma.
Nice.
So that was pretty cool.
So you did a little sightseeing around Norman.
Yep, and then went to a couple vintage shops, found some cool Oklahoma memorabilia and an AP signed jersey for sale.
So they moved up the show, so you didn't have as much time. They announced that like a day ahead, or day of? Was it day of?
So this was pretty crazy. So we had gone out to lunch at this real cool brewery area called The Standard, and we got back in, and Olivia was going to do, you know, women getting ready for stuff, the get ready stuff. And I was charging my phone up, and just somebody had texted me. So I just happened to open up my phone, and I was sitting there charging, and I just happened to open social media at 3:00, and we were going to get an Uber at 3:45, and I'd already had an Uber set up to take us back at 11:30, because the concert, runs generally around that time. And I just happened to check, and they're like, because of the potential weather, we're moving up the concert. The gates open at 4. First act goes on at 4:20.
Oh, wow.
Luke Combs is coming on at 7:20.
For someone who is aging like me, I actually kind of like the thought of the main act going on at 7:20.
So it was really
okay
crazy. So I canceled the Ubers, and I was like, we're gonna drive there, because I don't want to be stuck outside if it's storming.
Right.
And I had to redo the Uber. So I ended up paying damn near $70 to get a parking pass, whole other thing. But it was very weird to watch a main act at a at an outdoor venue in the sunlight. It was weird. But very cool. He walked out, because these are all centered around the stadium, center stage. He walked out to Should Have Been a Cowboy by Toby, and had a Toby hat on.
Sure. Toby Keith from nearby Moore.
Yeah.
You drive. You drive.
I drove through it. We saw the water tower that said home of country music legend Toby Keith.
Made that drive plenty of times. I had trying to remember if I had it backwards in my head, but if you're going south, you do pass through Moore before you get to Norman. That's right.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. And then the show kept going on. I had heard online during the week that Lane Johnson was going to come out on stage with him, former Eagle
Sure.
and Oklahoma Sooner.
No, current Eagle. Former Sooner.
I thought he retired. My bad.
No. Lane Johnson still kicking.
Yes. And I was like, I wonder what former Oklahoma players would come out too. None other than Creed Humphrey was also on stage because I guess he's tight with Lane Johnson.
Very well.
I didn't know this.
No, those Oklahoma guys. Yeah. That offensive line too. The same, like the O-line coach been there for like 100 years.
Yeah. Also coming out with him was Jason Witten.
Okay.
Who, unbeknownst to me,
he's the old head. He's Unk in that group.
But he went to Tennessee.
Huh.
Unbeknownst to me, did I find out he is the current tight ends coach at the University of Oklahoma.
There you go.
Also coming out was who else? I'm pulling up the list.
You told me earlier. Danny Stutzman
and let's see. Where's the other current quarterback John McTeer.
Yeah.
And he does the song.
That concert might have paid his NIL for the year, so I'm sure he was there. I'd ask to go too.
They do a song where he's like talking about one too many, and he says, and Brooks and Dunn's on it with him, and he says, "Well, shotgun one more," and then the song pauses, and he brings out people. Like last week, he was at Neyland and brought out Peyton Manning.
Oh wow!
And he brought those guys out, and they shotgun a beer, and I was like, hey, that's Creed Humphrey.
That's pretty cool. That's very cool.
And then to top it all off, he has a song from Twisters, "Ain't No Love in Oklahoma," that got all the press with it. Well, obviously, he's going to play that last because, it's Oklahoma. He played that at the start of a literal storm. It was just epic to watch, the lightning in the background. I've got multiple videos with lightning just striking in the background.
Very cool.
So to top it all off, we were back at the hotel by 10:45.
Ideal
when you have to wake up the next morning and drive 4.5 hours home.
I say ideal, period. My bed, hotel bed. Man, if I'm done with the night at 10:45, that's something that I've grown to appreciate as I've aged in dog years since becoming a parent for the first time. That being done in bed at 10:45 kind of rocks, actually.
Yeah.
So here's my hypothetical real quick I wanted to throw at you. So if you could go see any artist at any college football venue, who would it be?
Any artist
like that you have. I'm gonna limit to you haven't seen. But if you're gonna go do this again and go see a show at a college football venue,
that's a hard one. I don't know, because I would say I'd love to have seen Toby Keith play Oklahoma State.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
Darn, that's a good one.
I'll give you a commercial break to think about it. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We got some final thoughts on a Royals week that was good. Wish it had been great. We'll get to that as we wrap up 580 Sports Talk coming up next. 546 on 580 Sports Talk. All right. Random question Monday, I guess, on the show. But Spencer, did you come up with an idea?
Yes, this one.
Go see it. You see a concert of an artist you haven't seen at a college football venue. What would be the best marriage of artist and venue?
So I'm gonna say this because of what I want to see. What I've seen this person, but nobody knew who they were when I saw them.
Okay.
Tyler Childers used to gig out. He was from 20 minutes from where I went to college.
Okay.
So when I first got to college, you could go to the local, the local bar that had the music set up.
Yeah, and he'd be there
for $10, $12, whatever it was that night.
Sure.
See him play Marshall Stadium because he's 3 members of his band went to the Marshall School of Music. That would be just like epic. To see him have 5 minutes from the stadium in 2016 play for $12 in front of 100 people to 35, 40,000 people packing out the stadium to watch him, that would be epic. Also, I think seeing Kenny Chesney in Neyland would be cool.
Oh yeah, that's a
hometown.
You think he's played? Has he played there before?
Probably.
That would seem kind of like a natural fit.
Probably.
He narrated one of those SEC story documentaries about.
I mean, if it was
Tennessee
anywhere, I'd see Kenny Chesney at Patriots Stadium because those are like iconic concerts.
Sure. I don't have a great answer for that. I don't know. Seeing Garth Brooks do Call in Baton Rouge at Tiger Stadium would probably be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Here's one from the text line. Texter says, "I'd like to see Metallica at Memorial Stadium in Champaign, Illinois."
Okay.
Yeah, seeing Metallica would be cool.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a big enough concert guy to have great answers to questions like that, prompts like that. But no, good stuff. Anyway, Royals went 4-3 this past week, and they beat the Tigers 2 out of 3. Like we said at the top of the show, feels a little bit like getting a B. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with getting a B. You get enough Bs, I think you get on the honor roll, right? You get nothing but Bs all semester long. 3.0 GPA gets you on the honor roll, sneaks you on the dean's list, right? Like, nothing wrong with a B. B's solid. B shows more, excellence in the subject. Royals get a B for going 4-3 over the last week at home. Just feels like could have been an A. Had 3
Left
chances.
on the table.
Little meat on the bone. Had some chances. Didn't quite finish. And I think the big question, we're 40 games in, 41 actually. And Dayton Moore always says, just when you start to get a feel for who your team is. And I don't have a great feel for who the Royals are right now. I think that they are defined through 41 games by their inconsistency. They started 8-17, and they're 11-5. So they had 25 games where they were wretched, and they played 16 where they've been really good. I think that they are better offensive team, a more balanced offensive team, certainly, than they were last year. They are obviously not as good on the mound. Most of that is an inability to throw consistent strikes. I think it is likelier that the pitching improves from this point forward than it is that the hitting totally collapses. Anything, I think you're going to see some guys improve at the plate as the season goes on. Like, starting to come together for Vinny a little bit. He had 2 hits last night. His average is finally up right at 200, right at that Mendoza line. I think it's likelier that you see a improvement in pitching as the season goes on. Hopefully some guys get healthy, guys get back in the strike zone. Pitchers, I think, are having to adjust more to the ABS challenge era and the way that has reshaped the strike zone. I think that has been more of an adjustment for pitchers than it has been for hitters. So I'm still bullish to a degree on what the Royals can be. But I think what they have been so far is inconsistent. And that is not something that you really want to be defined by. Whether it's 40 games, 80 games, 162 games, you don't want to be defined by your inconsistency. So the Royals are going to have to find some of that consistency. But big picture, they're running with the pack in a division that doesn't appear to have a great team. also may not have any outright bad ones either. So nobody's going to just beat up on one team all year and everybody goes 10-3 against the White Sox or the Twins or whoever. But I don't think that the Royals ought to be we're not throwing a parade. We're not hanging any banners for a 19-22 start, but we're also not, and we've done it before on this show. We've gotten to the 40-game mark, and our takeaway has been, when does Chiefs training camp start?
Yeah.
And don't think that's the Royals team that we have. Text from 785 says Royals got to figure out what's going on with Salvador Perez. That is a conversation that we're going to have tomorrow on the show. We're going to take a look at some individual guys, where they're at through 40 games, what the Royals ought to do. Because, yeah, it kind of felt like Salvi was starting to turn a corner, and then he really didn't have a good week, and he didn't catch. And, yeah, he's not in a real good place right now, but he continues to bat cleanup every time he's in the lineup. And how long can Matt Quatrero really justify that? That's, again, bigger picture conversation. And I already started doing some research on that. You'd be surprised how long George Brett hung out the 3-hole for the Kansas City Royals, for some teams that are about as good in the standings as I expect this Royals team to be, when Brett was obviously not quite the same player and much later on in his career. We will take one final break here on 580 Sports Talk, and here on the other side of this timeout, time for the final word to put a wrap on this Monday's show. Final word time on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuy, what you got?
I said this earlier, but Bobby Wood Jr. is fast. And, man, I saw that highlight. I obviously knew – I didn't watch the game, but I knew knowing it's going to happen. Watching how fast he rounded the bases was crazy.
14 seconds.
Yeah. That's just crazy. I liked the hat tip off, the helmet tip off. That was fun to watch. Also, one other thing, shout out to the rental car company that I went through this weekend, rented a car to go down there. I rented it for 9 a.m. I got there at 8:56. They're like, sorry, your car's going to be ready till after 9:30. They told me that I didn't need to return it with a full tank of gas.
Well, that's a nice trade-off.
Especially when gas is
especially right now. Especially right now.
Shout out to that guy.
Big fact. No, absolutely. Yeah, you make that trade every single time. Final word for me today is a happy birthday wish to my mother, whose birthday is today. It's always kind of fun.
Happy birthday.
It's always kind of fun this Mother's Day weekend because my mom's birthday and Mother's Day are always so adjacent to each other and very commonly happen to fall on the same day. We've jokingly called it over the years in the Lucero family Mama Palooza weekend, when we get to celebrate both the birthday and Mother's Day in such a short distance. But I miss my mom every day. Miss her being around. Living close to her. My mom is still with us. Don't worry. I don't want to. I realized as that was coming out of my mouth, oh, that's going to sound like she's not with us anymore. No. I miss her living close. She lives back in Aurora, Colorado, Centennial, Colorado, where I grew up. But miss her and miss her a lot on this weekend, not being able to be around. But I always know that she encouraged me to chase my dreams and pursue my passions. And I know that I do my best to make her proud with the way that I have done that over the course of my life. So happy birthday to my mom, an occasional viewer of 580 Sports Talk on the YouTube. And I hope you had a wonderful day. And every day deserves to be wonderful for my mom because she's the best. So happy birthday, Mom. That's it for 580 Sports Talk today. We will have a full show tomorrow, 3 until 6, prior to Royals baseball. Michael Swain of Fog.net will join us. We'll talk about some individual Royals who need to pick up the pace after a slow 40-game start, and we'll have a whole lot more fun on the program. So I hope you'll join us. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.